Alright, welcome to the video on factoring expressions, and we're looking at cases, simple cases, and remember simple cases are the ones where a is either equal to 1 or we can factor out a greatest common factor from a, b, or c. And in this first example we are dealing with cases where a is equal to 1. So let's begin in example A. On the left hand side we have some steps, and step 1 tells us to identify A, B, and C. So that's the first step. You guys have done that before, so that should be fairly simple. So let's start off with our equation. A in this equation is equal to 1, and that makes sense because that's the cases that we're looking at. B is equal to -2, and C is equal to -15. Alright, step 3, notice we skipped step 2, but we'll come back to that. Step 3 tells us to list all factors of C. And remember, factors are numbers that when multiplied together would give us C. So when we're listing the factors, the first number we want to start off with every time is 1. You can't forget that we can multiply anything by 1 to get itself. So first factor is going to be 1. And what number do we multiply 1 to get -15? It's -15. Now we're going to start listing the rest of the factors. So remember, our factors need to be integers. That means they can't be fractions or decimals. And if we go to the next highest number above 1, which is 2, the only number that we can multiply 2 by to get -15 is -7.5, and that's decimal. We don't want to use that. So we have to use only integers. So the next number I can think of is 3, and I can multiply 3 with -5, and that'll give me -15. Above 3 we have the next number we have is 5, and I can multiply 5 and -3 to get -15, and above that I have the number 15, which I can multiply by -1. Okay, so notice I've done all of the numbers that I can possibly, listed all of my factors that I possibly could do to get -15. Step 4 tells us to pick the pair of factors of C that when added equal B. So we listed our factors of C. Now what we need to know is which of these factors that when added together will give us B. Okay, so let's start off with our first pair of factors. Question is, if I add 1 and -15, what do I get? Alright, so when I add 1 and -15, I get -14. Look at B. Our B is -2, so obviously 1 and -15 cannot be our factors. When I add 3 and -5 together, I get -2. Ta-da! So obviously our factors are 3 and -5, because when I add them together, they give me -2, which is our value for B. We can just take a quick look at the other ones. 5 and -3 together, when we add together, we get a 2. And 15 and -1, when we add together, we get 14. So this is just to prove that there's only one choice, and that is 3 and -5 are our correct factors. Okay, so we've done step 1, 3, and 4. Now we need to go on to step number 5, which is to finalize our answer. When we say finalize our answer, what we're talking about is writing out our factors for this expression at the top here, x squared minus 2x minus 15. And remember, this is the reverse of foiling, so this should look like a foiling problem to us. So when we finalize our answer, what we're going to do is we're going to write out our parentheses. And in our parentheses, we should have x plus or minus something. I'm just put my x's down. And the numbers that we're going to add to x are going to be the numbers that we get from our factors. So for my first factor, factors of c, I should say. So for my first factor for my problem, I should have x plus 3. And the second factor is going to be x plus negative 5. And when you add a negative 5, that's the same as minusing 5. So we have x minus 5. Alright, so we have our two factors, x plus 3 and x minus 5. Now the last step for this problem is to check by using foiling. You guys should have already gone through the foiling video, or you should know how to foil. So I won't show you in this example, but when you do foil, what you're expected to get is this as your final answer. So whatever the equation that you start off with, you want to get that. Okay, great, awesome.